hopping on too. All right. And there's the recording. Cool. All right. Well, hi, everyone. Roger Sterming from Findhelp here. And today's educational moment is going to be just a little bit about using the tools and analytics that are available to you once you claim your program through Boulder County Findhelp. So as you can see here, I'm on boco.findhelp.com, and I'm signed in here, and you can see I've claimed my programs because I have access to my program tools. So what's really cool about the Findhelp tools is that once you claim, you get access to a set of dashboards here under something called Program Analytics. So under Program Tools, this is where you'll respond to those referrals. You can add team members. You can edit your program listings. But this is also where you'll find that information that you need to kind of see what your organization and your programs are doing on the network, how things are going, and and then you can take all of that information out and ideally help support your mission with it. So I do note there's a lot of dashboards here on screen. You won't have access to all of these. These are just a lot of things that I have access to because this is my demo and all of that. But a couple of things that you'll have access to that I want to specifically call out are starting kind of in this area. So there's a dashboard called My Activity Dashboard. This is, as you can see, just a very basic report that kind of shows you the work that you have been doing on the platform in the last 90 days. Really good for self-reporting if you're kind of reporting to a manager or want to show your director what you're doing. Just some good activity there. But I want to spend a little more time in these two dashboards. So I'm going to start with the one called Search Trends in Your Coverage Area. And if you're playing along at home, you have access to this as well. Feel free to click along with me. Search Trends in Your Coverage Area is a dashboard that is going to show you what's happening in the network across the Findhelp network. Specifically, what's going on in the area that you serve. So as you might have heard us talk about this a little bit once we were way back when we were getting kind of everything stood up. But Findhelp, who is the tech partner behind Boco Findhelp, we are a nationwide service. And so what's really great about our tool is that no matter how someone is getting into the network, whether that's through Boulder County Findhelp, whether that's through other nationwide customers like health plans or anything like that, or just using findhelp.org, if they're looking for resources in a certain area, they're going to see the same resources. We want to share that information across the network. Search Trends in Your Coverage Area helps collect all of that data in a way that's usable for you all. So I'm on a demo program here. So it's going to collect across the entire, this program serves the entire country. But when you pull this up, if your program serves, for example, Boulder County, or maybe a couple of counties, or even if it's more specific in specific cities within Boulder County, you'll have that coverage area. And what you can see is things like the number of searches that have happened in this area for your given time. And one thing I do want to showcase is that we have different filters on some of these dashboards that I'll call out as we go through them. This one allows me to show a little bit, I can drill down into more specifics. So if I have a broader search, or if I have a broader coverage area, apologies, it's Friday, y'all. If I have a broader coverage area, I can drill down more specifically into, for example, down to the city level. So I can see what searches are happening. I can see things like the search category, what term was being searched for in that search. I can see things like trends across time. This is always a really interesting one for me because if you use this, you'll notice certain seasonal trends, right? So things like housing and food pantries and those types of assistance are going to be year-round, but you'll see sort of in the summer and the winter spikes for things like help pay for utilities, right? So an interesting way to kind of break down and to get a sense of what's happening in your community. To tell a bit of a personal story, so I was a youth librarian before coming to work at Findhelp. I actually used this dashboard to win a grant. So we were writing a grant for a community learning kitchen. We needed to show, hey, there is a lot of food need in our area. And of course, there's a lot of USDA data to support, hey, this is a food desert that the library is situated in. But what really brought that to life was being able to look at this dashboard and say, wow, in the last 90 days, we had 200 searches for food specifically in this neighborhood, right? And so being able to showcase, yes, we can see that it's a food desert. Yes, we can see that there's a USDA level of need, but then very specifically, these are the families that are actively searching for help. And so in that, it helped us connect with that funding, really tell that story of why that was needed to be addressed, and helped us win that grant. So it's a good example, and I really promote this for organizations, and especially nowadays, given the current climate and the way funding, the situation with funding across the board. This is going to be really a vital dashboard to familiarize yourself with, just so that you have a better understanding of overall needs, what's going on in your community, so that you can showcase that and tell that story of how your specific organization is helping, right? And the needs you're fulfilling. The other dashboard I want to really dive into is the claimed program dashboard. And this one, to kind of denote them a little bit, the search trends in your coverage area is a bit broader, and what's going on in your community, right? Claimed program dashboard is more specific to, hey, what are your programs doing on the network? And so when we pull this up, this is going to show you how people are interacting with your programs on the network. And if you see here, I've got my filters. I can always change these. If I'm on multiple organizations, so for example, if I serve different organizations, I work or volunteer with different groups, I can choose and break it down by what organization, and then specifically what program. So again, apologies, it's a demo program, so things are always a little weird. But if you select your organization, you'll then, if you have multiple programs, you can select out specifically which ones you want to look at. You can then also drill down into specific, hey, what are people in a certain area? So for example, what city or even what zip code, what are they doing with your program? And then you're able to change the date range. So being able to say, all right, over the last month, here's what sort of activity we had. And then wonderful at the end of the year, being able to say, all right, calendar year 2025, what happened, right? How many searches did we appear in? How many times did people interact with us? All of that data. So if I close the filters real quick, you can see here, you have a user engagement. That's just how many people were interacting with your program. You can see some of these engagements here, and you can see it's broken out into a few different things. So we have more detailed documentation on this if you're curious, but a simple breakdown is search. Search means that you showed up in a search, right? So when someone was searching for something, hey, you were one of the results displayed. An interaction is that someone took the time and did something on your program card. So that could be something like clicking more info, clicking the hours, those sorts of things that like they're looking into it, they want to know more, they're taking some kind of step to look into your program a little bit deeper. And then connections are, hey, someone who is searching for a need clicked on something and was wanting to make a connection with your organization. So that's things like the share button, right? That's clicking on your phone number to open it if they're on a phone. If you set up your referrals are connections, and I'll show you they do get separated out specifically, but referrals count as a connection type. So it's a great way just to kind of get an overall view, and you can see here shares and connections is broken out, and you can see the different types, referrals, website links, clicking to print that information. So if my information was printed out and handed to someone, it still gets reflected in my data, which is really great. And then if I click to email that to someone. And then you can see here things like the current referral statuses. So how many referrals came in and what are their current status? So you can see I had one referral come in and we had marked it to eligible. So all kinds of good stuff there. You can get a sense of what sort of data is available through there. Again, the two sort of main dashboards I always point folks towards are those search trends in your area and the claimed program dashboards, because really they give you the two sides that you need to tell your story based on the work you're doing, through the Findhelp network. So being able to see what's going on externally and what's going on in the community, as well as, hey, how are my programs doing? How are we doing on answering things? All that good stuff. So really quickly, and then I'll wrap up and take any questions. But if you all set up a screener, so again, that tool to set up some questions as someone is sending that referral, right? Eligibility questions, extra demographic questions. If you choose to set one of those up, you get access to a screener dashboard that collects all of that information. And we also have a tool for the data collection forms. And I don't know if I've mentioned those on this specific call before, but the data collection forms work like a screener, but they are on the referral for internal use. So your team can answer, hey, what happened with this, right? And collect some more outcomes with certain referrals if needed. So if you choose to set one of those up, it also is collected into a dashboard for you. So again, all of this is available for you through the dashboards here. And what's really great about it, and last note I'll make, is that all of this information is exportable. So if I scroll through here and I want to see, for example, there's status updates on referrals and that sort of thing down here. You can see also at the very bottom, I have referral details as well. So specifically, here are the referrals that are coming into my program. All of them have this little waffle table or hamburger table, I've also had it called. But if you click that, you can actually download this data. So all of the information on a lot of these dashboards are in these tables. All of that can be downloaded, and you can play with that to your heart's content in something like Excel or pivot tables, whatever your tool of choice is to kind of modify that data. So any questions, anything about this from the group here today?
Thanks, Roger. Give me one moment. Let me stop the recording and then we can move into questions.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.